Okay, welcome back everybody. So the first thing we'll be needing now is to draft our main foundation, the pants or the tights, whichever one you call it. So it should not be too long. The length I'm working with is length 15 inches. So you can do either way. You can do the one with zipper or you can do the one with elastic, but I think I'll prefer the one with elastic so that it will grip the waist very well. Okay, so the length I'm working with is length 15 inches, and I'll be taking out my band intake, which I'll be using the band of 1.5 inches. So 15 inches plus minus is either you take out your tape rule this way or you minus it before you start taking your measurement. So 15 inches plus 1 inch for seam allowance, that makes it 16 inches. And my crotch line will be 10 inches. It will be 10 inches. The hip is 42. So because I don't want the waist part to be too saggy, I want it to be firm like normal hip padding tights. So I want it to be firm. So instead of me using hip 42, I'll use hip 10, hip 40. Do you understand that? So to get my crotch, I'm using 10 inches for my crotch. Then I'll come up by 2 inches for the hip line. Do you get that? 2 inches for the hip line. Then I will mark out my lines. Okay? So I'm going to label it so that you know which line we are working on. So the foam I'm using is foam of 1 inch. Remember, our hip is 42, so I'll be doing 42 plus 2, that makes it 44 inches. Okay, so 44 inches divided by 2, I'll get 11 inches. Divided by 4, pardon me please, I'll get 11 inches. And this is where my 11 inches is. So I'll mark it out. Then I'll connect it to my crotch line. This is the length, this is the crotch line, this is the hip line, and this part is the waist part. So here also I'm going to get 11 inches. All right, I'm going to get 11 inches on the hip line, and also on the crotch line I'm going to get 11 inches. If you do your actual hip measurements after putting the foam or the fiber, it will be too tight. Okay, so to avoid this, you need to add 2 inches or 3 inches to your actual hip measurement before division. Are we clear? Connect the lines this way. And the lap I'm working with, it to be fitted. Don't let it to be saggy. It should not be free. We are working with a firm pants, so it will be tight. So the lap I'm working with here is lap 22. Lap 22. 22 divided by 2, I have 11 inches. 11 inches, which is here. Then I'll add 1.5 inch for the crotch extension. Okay, for the crotch extension. So on the tie line, I'm going to measure whatsoever I have here on the lap line. Okay, this is the tie line. So here I have 12.5 inches. So that 12.5 inches, I'm going to be dividing it by 2. 12.5 inches by 2, I think we should have 6.25. That's 6.25 inch. So here you measure 6.25 inches to get the midpoint. Okay, So here is it on the tie line, and also you should also do same on the tie line to get the midpoint. You'll be working on this part soon. I'll show you what to do here. Then you get your tie line. Whatever I have here, I have 12.5. I'm going to reduce it by half of an inch on both sides. Remember, we have 6¼ inches here, so minus half inch, we are going to get 5¾ on both sides. Okay, 5¾ on both sides, or you use your tie measurement. All right, or use your tie measurement. Let me do tie 20. So 5 here. Okay, it's okay like this. 5 here. I'm using my tie measurement now because it seems that the measurement is a bit big and I don't want that to happen. So I use my tie measurement around this part on the tie line. Okay, please go ahead and use your tie measurement. All right, so the next thing for us to do is to get our crotch curved. You take your curve ruler, remember the way we do it, then you curve it out. You curve it out this way. I think this is good. So if you don't want to use elastic, I'm even confused on which one to use, but whichever one is fine. If you don't want to use your elastic, you can just come back here and measure your waist measurement. Our waist is 32 divided by what's it called, by 4. We have 8 inches. You can see the allowance is too very much. It will give me this curved part, which I don't want, so I will be using my elastic. Okay, all right, so then you connect your lines together this way, the tie line, connect the lines this way. And also you can either use your straight or your curved ruler, whichever one is fine. Connect it this way, and it's just smoothing this part off to give you that hip curve. Okay, you're going to reduce here by half an inch to give you that curved part because I don't want it to be straight. So you just curve it like so. Then you blend this part, just blend it up to meet with this line, and we are good to go with this is the front part. Let me indicate that front part, and this is what we have. Okay, so I'll go ahead now and cut it out, then I'll place it to cut the back part. Okay, so this is the front part. I've cut it out, then I place it on the other pattern paper. Remember the way we do it. Mine is very straightforward and easy, and you get the same result. So you can see that I left some allowances here. So from there, on your crotch line, you're going to measure 1.5 inches. But for normal crotch crotch extension at the upper parts for the back, I do leave 2 inches, but because of this I'm doing 1.5 inches. Please, disclaimer, if you are cutting your normal pants, trouser or shorts, use 2 inches for the crotch extension at the back. Okay, but because of we are making hip padding, so I use 1.5 inches. All right, so 1.5 inches, we've done that. Then also here I'll be doing 1.5 inches because of the fabric I'm working with is very stretchy. So if I use 2 inches, it will not give me that firmness which I want. Okay, but if you are using a structured fabric, use 2 inches for your ease allowance. So I'm measuring 1.5 inches all the way, and I'm going to connect that. And if you're not getting the curve effect, you should use your front crotch line to cut out the curved parts. Okay, but if you can get it curved very well, there's no need for that. Just mark it out, then connect the lines together. So this is my crotch extension that I'm doing. So this is the back part. I'm going to cut that, but before cutting that, I'll need to mark my hip line. I will indicate it also on the back parts. Okay, so I've gone ahead to cut the back part out. This is the front part, this is the back part. So I'm going to indicate the hip line which I marked out earlier. I'll just mark it out like so. So before you cut out the hip padding part, which is the main reason for this, you will use this pattern to cut out your fabric, the fabric you are using. Okay, don't add any allowances to it again. Everything has been added on the pattern paper. Just place it on your fabric, then you cut it out. I'll be doing that off the camera. So right now I'll be moving into the hip padding proper, excuse me. So take out the back part, put it aside. We'll be working first on the front part. So the first thing you need to do is to measure 1 inch on the waistline downward. Measure 1 inch. So for the hip padding, I'm working with length 13 inches. Then I'll get my 13 inches. Yeah. Mark it out. Okay. So I've marked that out. Then I'll connect the line. Remember the midpoint we got here. I'll measure. What did I have? Wait, I want to measure from back and forward. I have 6 1/4 here, and also 6 here. This is more than 6 1/4. Okay, let me measure what I have here again. This 6 1/2. Should be 6 1/4 on both sides. Or am I missing something? This is 6 1/2. The midpoint should be 6 1/4 right here. Okay, which is here 6 1/4 on both sides. 6 1/4 here, and also 6 1/4. That's okay. We are good to go. So on that 6 1/4, you just curve your. Did I use Okay, so for the back part, as I said earlier, I'm going to measure 8 inches. I'm using 8 inches on the hip line, 8 inches. So the same thing you measure here, 1 inch downward, then you get your length 13 inches. Okay, so this is what we have here. So then on this line you measure from the 1 inch, you measure downward, you measure about 3 inches to 2 3/4 inches. So from there, on this line, new line, what should we call it? Maybe tie line. So you're going to measure on this line vertical, you're going to measure 3.5 inches. Okay, 3.5 inches. Then you give this part the curve it like so. Then you come this way to that 3.5 inches like this. Then you connect it to the 1 inch, rather this with the 13 inches line, pardon me please, like this. You can see what we have there. From this line to the 3.5, then you go this way to the 8 inches, then you come back to the 1 inch at the upper part. Now this is the back hip part. So this is what we have as the hip padding. But before I cut this out, this is what we are really working on. Before I cut it out, I'm going to be using my fabric to cut out the main fabric, my pattern rather, to cut out the main fabric I'm working on before cutting out the hip parts. Okay, so I've gone ahead to cut out the fabric I'm using. This is a lycra. So this is it. I've cut both the back and the front, and I've gone ahead to cut out my hip part. You can see I've indicated that this is the front and this is the back. So the next thing is for us to place this on our foam, on the foam we are using. This is 1 inch foam. So we are cutting 2 of these and also 2 of this part. So I'll go ahead now and cut it out, then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've gone ahead to cut out the foam I'm using. I cut 2 of these each, the front, this is the back. So the next thing, we can't use it like this. So the next thing is for us to trim the edges. It should not be too flat, just trim it, chop it like so, like this, so that you don't want the hip part to be too obvious. Just chop it little by little around the edges. Okay, should not be too much. Note that this is foam, so once they wear it, it will be flat, so it will not be too much. Just chop it like this, round this and also this. Then after you've done that, you go ahead and